All right, check this out. As y'all can see, we about to get into laws of the universe. Some people call it universal laws. And before we get into it, I want to say thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Wisdom Seekers University. And we just trying to keep it short and sweet, straight to the topic, impactful, and edifying. Whether you can get on with your day and be productive. You know what I mean? All right. So to give you guys a general understanding of what this is all about, the laws of the universe is exactly what it is. Like the natural laws of the universe. Like it's just how it is. No one's exempt for the most part. It works for everybody. God loves everybody, right? So these laws is what the universe is governed by. And some people may know them as the Hermetic principles, spoken of by Thoth, an Egyptian impersonation of a god, personification, right? Even though some people look at them to be real or whatever the case. But at any rate, the idea is that it's the same thing as the universal laws, the Hermetic principles, that is. All right? And we see the first law is the law of divine oneness. It's pretty much self-explanatory. Like for the ones that haven't read ahead, just think about what it's saying and focus on what you think it means. The law of divine oneness. So when we think of divine, we think of like the all-powerful, supernatural. And when we think of oneness, we think inseparable. And we think of law, we think of like a system. So it's the system of holy togetherness. And holy means whole. So it's the system of whole togetherness. And so, whole and together can mean wholeness. So it can be the system of wholeness. Right? And when we think of law, we think of right and wrong. We think of justice. So the just laws of wholeness. Now, let's read and see what it says. It says everything is connected to everything else. Everything is connected to everything else. What we think, say, do, and believe will have a corresponding effect on others and the universe around us. So it says everything is connected to everything else. So if this is true, just think about it. And it is true. Everything has a life force, right? Everything has an electromagnetic field around it. And it says what we think, say, do, and believe will have a corresponding effect on others and the universe around us. Now think about how big that is. It's letting you know, in which we know, that our actions can indeed affect other people, whether positive or negative. And we know the way we have other people feel in correspondence mean like a chain reaction. In correspondence, they can affect someone else positively or negatively, right? So if you piss somebody off, they can just as easily go piss someone else off. If you make someone feel good, they can easily make the next person feel good. So they're saying this law does not stop because it says, and the universe around us. So it says this spread out amongst all the way out throughout all throughout the universe. Okay? So the law of divine oneness is everything is connected to everything else. What we think, say, do, and believe will have a corresponding effect on others and the divine universe around us. All right? So now, let's get to law of vibration. We know vibration means to shake, we know it means shake back and forth. So, what's the law of shaking back and forth? It says everything in the universe moves, vibrates, and travels in circular patterns. Now understand this now. It says everything in the universe moves, first of all, everything, and travels in circular motions. The same principles of vibration in the physical world apply to our thoughts, feelings, desires, and wills in the etheric world. Each sound, thing, and even thought has its own vibrational frequency, unique unto itself. Now, understand what this just said. It says, everything in the universe moves. It vibrates and it travels in circular motions, right? Like a spiral. We're talking about the atmosphere, how it spirals around. And it say the same principles of vibration, the same principles in the physical world apply to our thoughts. So it let you know your thoughts are not physical. Okay? Your thoughts are not physical things. Your feelings are not physical things, but this same principle applies. Desires and wills in the etheric world. So, the etheric world deals with the ether. Okay? And the ether is our atmosphere, the upper atmosphere. And the upper atmosphere in the etheric world is where ionization takes place. It's where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. It's where solar flares meets magnetic energy. So this is the etheric plane, the etheric world, which some people may call the mental realm. And that's where thoughts, feelings, desires, and wills are at. That's where we send our feelings at to. That's where we send our thoughts to. And they come to us from there. And it says, and even thought has its own vibrational frequency, unique unto itself. So each of these things has its own vibrational frequency. Okay? It's like a channel. It's the tuner. All right? So now, moving on. Let's get to the law of action. And we know action means to go, to do something, so it's a law to this action deal. Law of action, must be employed in order for us to manifest things on earth. We must engage in actions that supports our thoughts, dreams, emotions, and words. So it says, we must engage in actions that supports our thoughts, dreams, emotions, and words. All right? So it says the law of action. This is the law of the universe now. It say must be employed in order for us to manifest things on earth. So this means you can think all day. You can wish, pray, hope. You can do all those things all day. But you absolutely will not manifest unless you take action. You got to take action. Right? You can have any thoughts that you want. Well, and it's saying that the actions that we take must be based on the thoughts that we have. Right? If you're having good thoughts, if you're having positive thoughts, then your actions be based on that. Okay? Because more than likely we get the results we think. Even though we don't really pay attention to it too much, but the thoughts and all that, which is not a thing, not physical, so to speak, is the most important thing. All right? So now, let's get to the law of correspondence. Now, remember I was telling you guys, correspondence is like side by side, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it goes along with the next. Like, you do this thing, and it leads to this thing. It's like cause and effect almost. Okay, but not quite. It's like a chain reaction, like I was saying. Okay, law of correspondence. This universal law states that the principles of or laws of physics. My bad, I had to read it again. It says this universal law states that the principles or laws of physics that explain the physical world energy, light, vibration, and motion have their corresponding principles in the etheric or universe, as above, so below. So let's read this again. It says this universal law states or says that the principles or laws of physics that explain the physical world energy, light, vibration, and motion have their corresponding principles in the etheric or universe, as above, so below. So it's letting you know that the physical world, right, which is energy, light, and vibration, is an exact replica or correspondence, image, reflection of the etheric world or realm. So it's saying this physical is the same as the non-physical. Like I say in one of the Bible scriptures, that God made the physical things in order for us to understand the invisible things. Right? So that we won't have no excuse. That's what the Bible says. So now understanding what above, so below actually means now then. Right? As above, so below means that the visible is the same as the physical. The invisible is the same as the visible. The physical is the same as the physical. Oh, I think I said that wrong. Y'all get what I'm saying, right? The physical is the same as the non-physical. And the non-physical is what they refer to etheric. All right? So now, let's get to law of cause and effect. So that's pretty much self-explanatory too, right? You do something, something happens in return. Some people call it karma. Some people call it sowing what you reap. Or reaping what you sow. Actually, reaping what you sow. All right, so let's get to it. Let's get on down to the nitty gritty, see what it means. So, law of cause and effect. Nothing happens by chance or outside the universal laws. Okay? Understand that. This ain't no guesswork. Say nothing happens by chance or outside the universal laws. Every action, including thought, has a reaction or consequence. We reap what we sow. I was just saying that. Right? So it says nothing happens by chance for all you chance takers or outside the universal laws. Every action, including thought, has a reaction or consequence. We reap what we sow. All right, law of compensation. So, law of compensation basically means to get paid for what you do. Not only paid, but receive fair pay for what you do. The market price. All right, let's get into it. So it's a law to this. The universal law is the law of cause and effect. Right? It says the universal law of compensation, right, is the law of cause and effect applied to blessings and abundance that are provided for us. The visible effects of our deeds are given to us in gifts, money, inheritances, friendships, and blessings. So it's letting you know the law of compensation does not only deal with money, okay? It says the universal law is the law of cause and effect applied to blessings. So it's the same as cause and effect, but it's dealing with blessings. Big old mosquito. Right? So, it's saying it applied to blessings and abundance, right? That are provided for us, right? The visible effects of our deeds. So the law of compensation is the visible effects of our deeds. Right? And they are given to us in gifts, money, inheritances, friendships, and blessings. All right? So it's like hanging in there saying, man, when am I going to start reaping the benefits of all my hard work? When would I begin to reap my reward? You know what I'm saying? It's like that. But just rest assured, you'll get it back. And you probably been getting it back, but you've been looking for it in different ways and not knowing that you've been getting it back the whole time. All right? So now, let's get to law of attraction. A lot of people talk about law of attraction. So, law of attraction. demonstrates how we create the things, events, and people that come into our lives, our thoughts, feelings, words, and actions produce energies which in turn attract like energies. Negative energies attract negative energies, and positive energies attract positive energies. So when we speak of law of attraction, we're speaking of like magnetism. All right, it's what you're pulling to you. So it says law of attraction demonstrates, it shows, right, how we create the things, events, and people that come into our lives, our thoughts, feelings, words, and actions produce energy. Well, that's not reading right. Let me read this again, fast. It says, law of attraction demonstrates how we create the things, events, and people that come into our lives. Our thoughts, feelings, okay, I missed the period. Okay, I'm sitting a little too far back. They missed the period. Okay, that's what happened. All right, it's supposed to be a period after our lives, people. So it reads, demonstrates how we create the things, events, and people that come into our lives. All right, that's what law of attraction do. It demonstrate, it show how we create the things, events, and people that come into our lives. All right, now it's going on to say that our thoughts, feelings, words, and actions produce energies. Okay, what does our thoughts, feelings, words, and actions produce? It produces energies, which in return attract like energies. Negative energies attract negative energies, and positive energies attracts positive energies. All right, so we see how it goes. You know what I mean? So understanding this now, it's saying, as it said again, it says it demonstrates how we create the things, events, and people that come into our lives, right? And it says our thoughts, feelings, words, and actions produce energies. This is the etheric energy that we're talking about, the etherical plane. Like the results from the etherical plane are energies, okay? And it's letting you know that the energies that you produce are the energies that's coming back to you, are the energies that you attract. All right? These are universal laws. It does not discriminate, does not care who you are. If you apply the science, it will definitely come back to you. You can feel like, hey man, I don't want to do this because I feel this way. I don't want to do this because I feel that way. But however you feel, right, you will attract those energies back to you. All right? So understand that. So you want something different, you have to do something different. All right? So now let's keep it moving. That was the law of attraction. That's pretty much a biggie because people talk about law of attraction a lot. So the next deal is the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. The law of perpetual, that means continual. Okay, that means non-stop. Transmutation, right? That means to give something over somebody else, like constantly get a supply something, right? And this supply is energy. All right, so it's a continuous transfer of energy. All right, so it says all persons have within them the power to change the conditions of their lives. Higher vibrations consume, and transform lower ones. All right? It says higher vibrations consume and transform lower ones. Thus, each of us can change the energies in our lives by understanding the universal laws and applying the principles in such a way as to effect change. Now, people talk about these Hermetic principles, they talk about the universal laws and stuff like that. But I'm talking about me, right, and how I'm running it down. I'm trying to run it down to y'all in such a way, and I'm not knocking nobody else. I'm glad they're talking about it. I'm glad they're putting it down, and they just coming across it properly too, and they try to get an understanding of what's going on. All right, but what I would like to do is to give like overall understanding of how things work, to where it can actually be applied and to where this information can be compressed. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed or not that in many times when I was reading this, that a lot of laws that we already spoke of continues being referenced again. So if you keep it all together, it's letting you know basically this is one system. This is one whole system. All right? So you're going to fluctuate between each of them all the time on a regular basis. And that each level, or it's not even necessarily levels, but each one affects another one, basically, for the most part. All right? So first of all, it says, all persons have within them the power to change the conditions of their lives. That's that innate ability that you have. That's that God-given talent, that God-given strength. All right? So understand that. And in universal laws, this is what everybody already come equipped with. You automatically come equipped with the power to change the condition in your life. So it's letting you know your life will have conditions. And some conditions you may want to change. And if you do want to change them, you have the power to change them. And so if you have to exert power, that means there's a certain force a certain resistance being applied against you to create a condition. So understanding that change is just not the snap of a finger, right? It's an effort. It's something you have to obtain with effort. Change, you have to obtain this. Power, it goes on both ends. Resistance is power as well. So you have to have more forward power or more perpetual power going forward to overcome resistance power, right? I don't want to get too stuck on that, but yeah, y'all get what I'm saying on that part, right? So, and it says higher vibrations consume and transform lower ones. Now, I know many of us think about lower nature, higher nature, and stuff like that, right? And that we automatically consider high is good and low is bad. But this way in expressing it, it's expressing it in a sense that you can have like negative high vibrations. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you are worried about something you are more worried about a problem not getting solved versus your solution to solve it, right? If you think about the negative the most, about you're not going to be able to do something or accomplish something, or you think about all your shortcomings and worries and all these types of things, right? And a higher percentage that you think about good things and ways you're gonna come out of it, and the light on the other side of the tunnel, right? Your high vibrations are negative feelings. Your higher vibrations are the worries and concerns. So, in essence, in actuality, that's what you receive. In reality, that's what you receive. Because that's the frequency you're vibrating on. That's the channel you're tuned into. Right? So, vice versa, of course. If your high vibration are positive thoughts and ways that you can succeed and that you will succeed and make it, then more times than none, you will receive that reality. And again, I must emphasize, this is a universal law. This is not favoritism to man. God has no respect of persons. It's either you can use the laws or you can't. You know the laws or you don't. And many of us, well, we all operate under these universal laws daily. But the thing is, most of us are not aware of these laws. So therefore, we don't have the ability to become alchemists, meaning to construct or to change our situations if we want to, right? Like the law was mentioning. Having the power, a lot of people lack the power to change their conditions, right? So just like one of the scriptures says, it says they have the Holy Ghost or something like that, but they lack the power thereof, right? Lack the strength. All right, so now it says, thus each of us can change the energies in our lives by understanding the laws and applying the principles in such a way as to effect change. Like I was just saying, you have to learn how to finesse it. You have to learn how to conquer the negative thoughts, right? You have to change the frequency, you have to change the frequency vibration. You have to change the sequence. You have to flip the ratio. You understand? You have to change polarity, which is going to be one of the laws, as we can see. Okay, now we are on the law of relativity. So now, when we speak of relativity, we speak of how something relates to one another. Like you guys should, well, I can't tell you what you should do. What I tend to do, because I am talking to and teaching myself, right? What I tend to do, I tend to look at the titles and see if I can go into my own mind and figure out what it means to me. And then when I read, I know I can get more understanding. I know I would get more understanding out of what's being said. I would thoroughly comprehend what's being spoken. And it's like going within, then going out, versus going out and coming in. You understand? And you have to be able to read between the lines and be able to see what's not being said. See the patterns and combinations, because everything is patterns and combinations. Everything is geometry. So understanding all letters, all symbols, all letters are symbols. All words are symbols. Okay? And each symbol means something. Each letter means its own thing. So that's crazy, because that brings us to relativity. Everything is related. Everything is intertwined. Everything is interconnected. Okay, so now let's get to it. Law of relativity. Each person will receive as a series of problems, tests of initiation, lessons, right? For the purpose of strengthening the light within each of these tests, lessons, to be a challenge and remain connected to our hearts when proceeding to solve the problems. I was just saying something like this. It says, this law also teaches us to compare our problems to others' problem into its proper perspective. No matter how bad we perceive our situation to be, there is always someone who is in a worse position. It's all relative. All right? So let me read that again, more quickly, faster, so that you guys can get a thorough understanding of what was said, since I broke it down already. It says each person will receive as a series of problems, tests, or initiations or lessons for the purpose of strengthening the light within each of these tests, lessons, to be a challenge and remain connected to our hearts when proceeding to solve the problems. This law also teaches us to compare our problems to others' problems into its proper perspective. No matter how bad we perceive our situation to be, there is always someone who is in a worse position. It's all relative, right? So you guys get it now. First of all, it's telling you, which is very critical to understand, that each person, right, everybody, will receive a series of problems, meaning not problems at one time, like over a course of life. And these problems are tests of initiation or lessons. You know how they say life lessons? These are also life's initiations. Okay? So when we say you got to be initiated, you have to pass the test. You have to go through the test of life, that is. And it says, let me read it, say each person will receive each person will receive as a series of problems, right? Tests of initiation, lessons, for the purpose. Why are we doing it? Why do we see these tests? For the purpose of strengthening the light within. So why? To strengthen the light within, not light without. Right? Within each of these tests. Right? So we're going to bring light to the darkness. Go put light inside the darkness. Go put light inside the lessons. To be a challenge. Okay? So we're going to battle it. We're going to challenge it. Right? And do what when we challenge it? While we're challenging it. And remain connected to our hearts. Right? So our hearts is the light within. It's the light. Right? It's the strength. Okay? Strengthening the light within. So the light is already so it's already an answer to your series of problems in life. It's already an answer. But the light's so dim you just can't see it. So you want to get to this end goal, but these smaller things must happen to give you more strength to get to your end goal. Each step is related to the other step. You understand? One thing relates to the next. All right? So say the light within each of these test lessons to be a challenge and remain connected to our hearts when proceeding to solve the problems. So it's saying, understand while you're going down this journey that you must keep your heart. You must keep faith, so to speak. You must keep the word. You must know that it's a way out. Don't give up. And it say this law also teaches us to compare our problems to others' problems. Right? Right? Into its proper perspective. It say compare our problems to other problems in its proper perspective. Not saying, hey, I think I'm better than this person. I think I'm better than that person. It's not saying that. That's why it says in its proper perspective. Meaning that, oh man, I see that's not a good move. I see I shouldn't do this that way. I shouldn't do this that way, this way. You understand? It's not saying be on no hating or nothing like that. It's just saying that, hey, okay, I just know what to do and what not to do. That's what they're saying. And it says, and to understand, right? Especially when someone is a little worse off than you, according to the eyes. That no matter how bad you perceive your situation to be, somebody always got it worse than you got. And everybody know that. And that's always something you can look at to have a humbling experience, you know? All right, so that was the law of relativity. So, law of polarity. Polarity, right? When you think of polarity, you think of pole, right? So that's a pole already. Or you could think of polar. When you think of polar, you think of cold. Okay? And then when you think of arity, you think of rarity. Those are the things I would think of, right? So to me, it would have something to do with a pole. It can have something to do, when you think of pole, you think of North Pole, South Pole, right? So when you think of arity or riti, you know, it's just like of it. You know what I'm saying? like the distance here to there. That's just how I would look at it, right? So now, law of polarity is it says everything is on a continuum and has an opposite. All right, so it says everything is on a continuum and has an opposite. So that's poles, like I was just saying, right? And it say we can suppress and transform undesirable thoughts by concentrating on the opposite pole. Wait, man, listen, y'all hear this? It says it is the law of mental vibrations. So y'all understand what I'm saying? How all these laws go together. But this is so cleverly, and listen, man, all your religious doctrine and all that stuff is based on these universal laws. For the ones that has ears to hear, let them hear. And the ones that has eyes to see it and to it for tuition may be the witness and have proof. Right? May be the light for those that can't see or hear. But understand, man, these are the universal laws. All religious doctrine, for the most part, the ones that's worth taking heed, right? Which all of them are worth taking heed, right? But for the ones that's giving you the mysteries are based on these universal laws. Well, I should say it this way. The things that the prophets were speaking on were based on these esoteric teachings. Okay? That's how I should say it. This the whole message being given to you, aside from I'm these people, these are my people, those are those people, I believe in this God, I believe in that God, and overall, this is where it's at. All right? So now, it says, we can suppress and transform undesirable thoughts by concentrating on the opposite pole, right? It is the law of mental vibration. So let me go back to the beginning. It says everything, right? Everything is on a continuum and has an opposite. Everything does. Everything perpetuates. Everything keeps going on and on and on. And everything has an opposite. Period. And it says we can suppress, meaning oppress. We can hold down. We can, right? And transform undesirable thoughts. Now watch now. Remember earlier, when I was just saying you have to use enough resistance in order to fight back as far as like the power goes or whatever you believe, whatever you vibrate high at, whether it's negative or positive, that's the one that's going to conquer. This is basically explaining the same thing in law of polarity. It's telling you how to do it. Like the same thing I was saying, but in the law of polarity is what it's called. And so what it's saying in the law of polarity is saying we can suppress, right, and transform undesirable thoughts. Now, suppress is not a light word. This like take effort again. Like you can't pretend like you suppressing it and it's still coming up, like you still thinking about it, but talking about I suppressed it, I ain't thinking about it. Nah, you thinking about it because, you know, if you weren't thinking about it, it would be suppressed. Like if you're thinking about it, it's not suppressed. The whole idea is to suppress something is to truly not think about it. If you want to call it running psychology on yourself, what do you want to call it, then you call it that. But it's called praying, believing that it's done, and giving thanks for it. You know what I mean? It's believing that you know you have received it already. That's what it is. Like I'm saying, the Bible is already, it's talking about the same thing. The scriptures is saying the same exact thing. I ain't capping when I say that. Okay? So that's letting you know if you need anyway, I'm gonna let it go. But y'all get my point on that right now, right? And it say it says well, I said what I was reading. I said we expression is concentrating. I was supposed right. It say we can suppress and transform undesirable thoughts, right? And it's telling you how to do it again. It says by concentrating on the opposite pole. Now, if I was really going into some bouncing around, I would be looking up the word suppress for y'all. I would be looking up the word continuum. I would be looking up the word concentrate. Right, I'll be looking up a lot of these words, and even the ones above. You know what I mean? So if I don't ever come back around to do it for you guys, like look up the words, the main words. Like if it says the law of attraction, look up attraction. If it says perpetual transmutation of energy, look up perpetual transmutation. You see what I'm saying? Then look up energy. Look up relativity, look up polarity, right? Look up rhythm. Look them up independently. So when you do that, you will gain a greater insight and a more authentic understanding. It's something that you can sign off for yourself. You can co-sign for yourself, right? You can put those informations together and have it to become your own, something you can write in your own database, in your own computer system, right? To where you can file it, to where you can get an overall understanding of what's going on. Okay, so now it says by concentrating on opposite poles, right? So it's letting you know everything has an opposite pole. That's pretty much self-explanatory, and I explained it already about North Pole, South Pole, or whatever, right? So now, and it says it is the law of mental vibrations. All right, so it's letting you know not only is it called the law of polarity, it's also called the law of mental vibration. Right? The law of mental vibrations is when you can suppress and transform undesirable thoughts by concentrating on the opposite pole, right? Being able to do that is called the law of mental vibrations. So, do you understand the law of mental vibrations? Do you understand the process or have applied the process of suppressing what you don't want and focusing on what you do want and actually watching it transpire, watching it transform before your eyes? Have you ever been pissed off and like consciously say, okay, I'm not going to be pissed off. I'm not going to feed into this energy that's trying to bring me out of my good feeling, that's trying to bring me out of my joy. I'm going to ignore this situation. You know what I mean? It's like if somebody owe you money or something like that, you're like, hey, I should go do something drastic to get my money back from them, right? And then you think about the pros and the cons. You be like, okay, what's the pros and cons of me doing that? Okay, they owe me $100. I'm gonna go punch them in the eye, and then I have to pay $1,000 bill to get out. Then I have to go to court. Then I have to do this. Then I have to do that. Then I lose my job. Maybe then I lose work. You know, it's not beneficial. Okay, it's not beneficial. It's more beneficial to say, okay, yeah, man, you know what? You sure right. You got that. Right? Because you understand the universal laws. You understand if you put yourself in the vibration of negativity and anger and, and stuff like that, and of lack. Because if you're feeling that way about it, that means you feel that you are lacking something. You feel like you are giving up something. And if that's how you feel, if that's the mental vibrations that you're putting out into the universe, into the etheric realm, it's going to come back to you in attraction. Right? That's the energy you're going to be transmuting. Right? So that's the compensation you're going to get back because that's what you put out. So you see how all these laws interact, and I did that intentionally, which I could have went all the way up the list, but as y'all can see what portion I'm looking at right now, y'all can see the portion I'm looking at. So now let's continue. Let's keep rolling. So law of rhythm. Everyone knows what rhythm is. Everybody know about that beat, having that soul, you know what I'm saying? Being able to do your thing. You know what I'm talking about? Having that soul, being able to do your thing. So, it say the law of rhythm. The law of rhythm is everything vibrates and moves to certain rhythms. Everything vibrates and moves to certain rhythms. Now, that kind of leads back to the circulatory action. Remember that it said in vibration that everything moves and it moves in a circle of vibration or whatever, right? Including thought and all that. So now, it say these rhythms establish seasons, cycles, stages of development, and patterns. So and that's another example of what I mean too, about like keeping it all together. Remember what it said at one part and tweaking it to understand what it means in another part. So you're like, oh, okay, boom, boom, boom. Okay, so now you got a thorough understanding of what they're saying. Because now when they explain these rhythms establish seasons, we know seasons goes in cycles. It goes around, right? Then it says cycles, and we know cycles mean to go around, spin around. And then when we say stages, we know they're telling us that stages comes around. So they're telling us that, you know what I mean? Everybody goes through the same stages. It's a cycle, right? So of development, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Everybody go through stages of development, and they consider in stages cycles, you know what I mean? Because as you have an adult, you always have a child. You see what I'm saying? Like you got a baby, then you always gonna have a adolescent. You always gonna have you understand what I'm saying? All right. So it says cycle stages of development and patterns, right? And like I was telling you guys already about geometry and all that, everything is patterns. So that geometry is patterns. That letters are symbols and patterns and signs, all right? So now, it says each cycle reflects the regularity of God's universe. It says each cycle reflects the regularity of God's universe. All right? It says masters know how to rise above negative parts of a cycle by never getting too excited or allowing negative things to penetrate their consciousness. Okay? So now it's telling you that when you when you learn the law of mental vibrations and be able to suppress and transform undesirable thoughts by concentrating on the opposite pole, which is the law of polarity, right? That you become a master that know how to rise above negative parts of a cycle by never getting too excited or allowing negative things to penetrate your consciousness. Wow. Right? So y'all see how I'm saying, which I'm going to keep saying, because I got to keep pointing it out, because all knowledge and information is 360 like this. But do y'all see how these things keep intertwining and interrelating? So if you was to memorize these laws, the more you be able to realize, to memorize it, to remember it, it will become one member, and you will understand that it's one body, and all these things will come together as one whole, and you, in consequence, will become whole, because you're already whole, right? That's already your being. That's your being already. And you already becoming this. So being aware of the becoming, right? Being aware of the marriage will only lead you, being aware is the only way to know when it's time to get married, right? Meaning to understand when I say married. When the time, when you understand is when it's time that you understood. All right, but now let me keep it moving, right? But you guys understand what's going on here. It say masters know how to rise above negative parts of a cycle. Okay? By never getting too excited, right? You don't want to be too high, you don't want to be too low. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be exactly lukewarm neither. You want to be on the excited side, but you don't want to be too excited. Right? Or allow negative things, right? You don't want to allow no negative things to penetrate your consciousness. All right? So you don't want to be super duper excited, but you see, listen, when it comes to like numbers and stuff like that, so let's say, for instance, right? It says, don't get too excited, right? Or allow negative things, okay? See, some people probably would look at that to be like balance, right? Like you want to keep it 50-50. But that's not a 50-50 statement, okay? So it's telling you to have a form of excitement, right? A form of joy. But it's telling you not to, now, even though you see that there is, right? It's telling you to allow some excitement, right? But even though you see that there is some negativity as well, right? The difference in the ratio would be that you're not allowing no negative things to penetrate your consciousness when you become a master. Anything, even things that's perceived to be negative, a true master would convert it into something positive, into something exciting, into a challenge, right? Like it was saying above, that you have to learn how to turn it into a challenge. Okay? So, and actually, it was in the law of relativity, actually, where it says that, where it says about challenge, it says to be a challenge and remain connected to our hearts, right? To be a challenge and remain connected to our hearts. That's what law of rhythm is talking about too. That's when it seemed negative, right? You're like, well, I'm thinking about negative. Okay, you got to figure out how you're going to change this. Now you make it as a challenge. Now you convert it into positive energy, okay? But I'm trying to explain to you how it's not 50-50 from the jump. It's not a 50-50 statement. It's not a 50-50 statement. You understand? Because what did they say? They say, allow some excitement, but don't allow no negative penetration to your psyche, to your mind, when they say consciousness, to your thoughts. All right? So now, let's keep it moving. I think we're on the last one, which is the law of gender. Okay? And for the record, too, some people have 12 laws and some people present 7. So, all right, now we're on the law of gender. So, gender means like male, female. So, to me, it's going to be talking about how two come together as one, or the difference between male and female. All right? Because that's what gender is. Gender is like male or female. What gender are you? You see? So now, to say, the law of gender manifests in all things as masculine and feminine. See, right off the bat. And it says, it is the law that governs what we know as creation. See, this matches another law. You see what I'm saying? I think it's the law of, which one was that? I have to find out in a minute. Because I can't see it right now on the screen. I might scroll down. And I might end up doing that as my little homework project or whatever. See which laws like really match. Because it seems like it's as above, so below almost with these laws. Something like that. But anyway, let me keep it moving. Say masculine and feminine, right? Next sentence. It say, it is this law that governs what we know as creation. This law, the law of gender, governs what we know as creation. Right? It didn't say it governs what is creation. It say it governs what we know as creation. Like that's the only thing we know. The only thing we know is masculine and feminine. All we know is that opposites make up what we have. That nothing comes of itself. Something needs something else to have something else. You see? Right? So now it says the law of gender manifests in the animal kingdom as sex. This law decrees everything in nature is both male and female. Both are required for life to exist. So it says the law of gender manifests in all things as masculine and feminine, right? So it didn't necessarily say all humans, all animals, nothing like that. It said it manifests in all things as masculine and feminine. Okay, and it said it is this law that governs what we know as creation, like as a whole, whatever is created. And then it went on to further explain what else the law of gender mean. In another context, it says the law of gender manifests in the animal kingdom as sex, right? So it lets you know how it manifests in all things, but in specific, right? Specifically, is letting you know that it manifests in the animal kingdom as sex. And when they say animal kingdom, just to let you guys know, in some schools of thought, when they reference animal kingdom, humans are included in that. We are considered mammals to the ones that don't know. So now it says this law decrees everything in nature is both male and female. Both are required for life to exist. All right? So understand that now. So it ain't no, the woman came out the man and woman is God and all this kind of craziness. For either one to exist, you need it both at one time. And so that's why it says, as far as we can go back, was in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And in the beginning was the Word was with God, and God was, and the Word was God, right? And all these things, right? Let you know it was something and something else. It was one thing and another thing that made all this happen. That's as far back as we can go. That's the only thing we know. We know it's something that we deem as negative energy and positive energy that creates this universe, which is solar energy representing the masculine energy and magnetic energy representing the lunar energy, right? Which is the feminine energy. Okay? And that's what forms what we call the electromagnetic field. And that's what creates everything that we can see. All right? That's where we at with this. So I think I do want to visit these laws again for sure. And I may tackle them one by one or whatever the case to get deeper into it. But I gave you guys a good briefing. And thanks for checking it out. And I hope this, I know this will help your life. I know you do understand that this is the laws of the universe, universal laws, and that no one is discriminated against. I know you understand that you have to put up more power against those that oppress you. You have to be able to apply more force. And force is not physically, is not only physical. Force and power can also be, and also is, thoughts. All right? But all thoughts must have some form of applied action in order to manifest into reality. You understand? And that your effect is only as good as your cause. You know, the law of correspondence, the law of compensation, you know, all depends on the cause and effect. It's still the same thing, which is all based on action, which is all based on how you vibrate, how fast you move, you know. How fluent you are, and how connected to the divine oneness are you really and truly. All right. Thank y'all very much, man. And get into it, dig deeper, learn everything you can learn. And like I said again, I might run through the Hermetic principles as well for y'all one time. You know, like I said again, that ain't what I said earlier. Like I said again, though, about the Hermetic principles, that these laws are basically based upon the Hermetic principles, and they may be the exact same. I can't recall right now, but if they're different, I would definitely run them down to you. And I am going to touch these universal laws again because they are so prevalent. And this is one of the keys to unlock the gates. All right? So I definitely get with y'all, and I appreciate y'all once again for checking me out. And subscribe, share, like, whatever, comment, all that. You know what I mean? And add with me. Peace. Holla.